A 17-year-old girl in a worn university hoodie, headphones on, sits in a $10,000 first-class seat. A furious, entitled passenger demands she give that seat to her daughter. The senior flight attendant doesn't just listen. She agrees, threatening to have the teen removed from the plane. They both made one fatal, career-ending mistake. They didn't just underestimate the young woman in seat 1A, they underestimated who was on the other end of her one phone call. And that man? He owns the airline. This isn't just a story of privilege, it's a story of prejudice, a call that grounded a flight crew, and the devastatingly instant karma that followed. The Apex Air Stratosphere Lounge at JFK's Terminal 4 was a study in beige and hushed anxiety. It was designed to be an oasis, a multi-million-dollar bubble separating the airline's most valued customers from the hoi polloi. In reality, it smelled of stale coffee, expensive perfume, and the quiet desperation of people trying to make connections. Maya Sterling, 17 and profoundly tired, was invisible, and she preferred it that way. She sat in a modern, uncomfortable armchair, her knees drawn up, her feet tucked under her. Her attire was the standard uniform of a sleep-deprived student: faded MIT-branded sweatpants, a dark grey hoodie with the hood pulled halfway up, and a pair of top-of-the-line, noise-cancelling headphones that enveloped her in the blessed silence of a complex, lo-fi playlist. On her lap, her laptop screen was a riot of colourful code. She was debugging a simulation for her summer internship, a coveted spot at a London biotech firm that she had earned, she always had to remind herself, on her own merit. Her appearance, as always, was a deliberate act of camouflage. When you were Maya Sterling, daughter of Robert Sterling, the CEO and founder of Apex Air, you learned early that the real you was a liability. Show up in designer clothes, and you were a spoiled brat. Show up like this, and you were a problem, a standard slipper, a person who didn't belong. She felt the eyes on her before she saw them. Across the lounge, seated near the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the tarmac, were a couple in their late 50s. They were lounge people. He was Arthur Bishop, dressed in a crisp, expensive blazer that he refused to remove indoors, reading the Wall Street Journal. She was Eleanor Bishop, thin, blonde, and radiating an aura of discontent. She wore a diamond bracelet that caught the sterile lounge light, and a look of profound offense as she stared, quite openly, at Maya. Maya ignored her. She was used to it. She was just a black teen in a hoodie, in a space where she clearly, obviously, wasn't supposed to be. She sipped her lukewarm water and found the bug in her code. "It's just ridiculous," Eleanor Bishop said, her voice a sharp stage whisper that cut through the lounge's murmur. Arthur grunted, not looking up from his paper. "What is, dear?" "The standards. They just let anyone in here now. It used to be exclusive. Now, look." She didn't gesture, but her meaning was laser-focused on Maya. People treat it like a bus station, eating their own food, sleeping on the couches. It's just not what it was. Maya's fingers paused on the keyboard. "Here we go." A lounge attendant, a young man named Mark with a tight smile and an ambitious glint in his eye, was gliding between tables. Eleanor flagged him down. "Excuse me," Eleanor said, her voice now dripping with faux concern. I'm a little worried about the security in here. That young woman over there," she nodded towards Maya, "has been here for hours, and I haven't seen her order anything. She just seems to be, well, you know, using the Wi-Fi." The implication was clear. Maya was a vagrant who had snuck in. Mark's professional smile faltered. He was trained to placate platinum-tier members like the Bishops. He glanced at Maya. He saw a black kid in sweats. He saw an easy target. He made a calculation. He walked over to Maya's chair. He stood there until she finally, with a sigh, lifted one cup of her headphones. "Yes?" she asked. "Mum," Mark said, his voice slick with practiced authority. "I'm going to need to see your boarding pass and lounge invitation again." Maya frowned. "Again?" "I scanned it at the desk an hour ago." "It's just a random verification, Mom. Protocol." It was a lie, and they both knew it. Maya looked past him, locking eyes for a brief second with Eleanor Bishop, who was watching with a small, satisfied smile. "You're not randomly verifying her," Maya said quietly, nodding at Eleanor. Mark's face tightened. "Mum, if you can't produce your credentials, I'll have to ask you to leave the lounge." This was the part Maya hated. The sigh she let out wasn't just air. It was a physical expulsion of exhaustion. She closed her laptop, reached into her backpack, and pulled out the crisp white folder containing her travel documents. She handed him the heavy cardstock that read, in bold silver letters, "Sterling Maya. Seat 1A, First Class, Apex Global Services." Mark's eyes widened. He hadn't just questioned a random passenger. Global Services wasn't a real tier. It was the internal designation for the airline's executive owners and their immediate family. Seat 1A was the flagship seat on their brand-new A350. The blood drained from Mark's face. He suddenly saw the expensive headphones, the high-spec laptop, the quiet confidence that he had mistaken for apathy. I apologize, Ms. Sterling," he stammered, his entire demeanor shifting from cop to caterer. I was just doing your job," Maya finished for him, her voice flat. She took her pass back. "It's fine." It wasn't fine. Mark scurried away, avoiding the bishop's gaze. Eleanor Bishop looked confused, then annoyed, as if a particularly interesting show had been cancelled. Maya put her headphones back on, but the lofi beats couldn't drown out the familiar, bitter taste in her mouth. It wasn't about the seat, or the lounge. It was about the constant, draining assumption that she was always in the wrong place. She looked at the clock. 30 minutes until boarding. 30 minutes until she could get on the plane, close the door to her pod, and just be. She had no idea that the lounge was only the opening act. The real performance was about to begin. The call for Apex Air Flight 212 to London. Heathrow echoed through the terminal. Maya packed her laptop, slung her worn backpack over one shoulder, and joined the river of people heading toward Gate C40. The boarding area was a zoo, a sea of anxious faces, oversized bags, and crying children. Maya found the dedicated first class and platinum lane and stood at the back, scrolling through her phone. In front of her, the Bishop family was regrouping. Arthur and Eleanor were there, and now they were joined by their daughter, Chloe. Chloe looked to be about 20, dressed in a bright pink sweatsuit that screamed influencer and was pouting dramatically. "I just cannot believe this," Chloe was whining to her mother. "You promised we would sit together. How am I supposed to sit in coach for 8 hours? It's disgusting." "I am handling it, Chloe," Eleanor snapped, her eyes scanning the gate. She marched up to the podium, cutting in front of several other passengers. The gate agent, a harried-looking woman named Susan, looked up. "Ma'am, I'll be with you in a moment." "I am Eleanor Bishop, Platinum Elite," Eleanor announced, as if presenting a title of nobility. "There has been a terrible mistake. My daughter Chloe is booked in economy, but I am in first class. You need to move her up." Susan typed furiously. "Ma'am, I see your booking. I'm afraid first class is completely full. We have no open seats." "Then make one," Arthur Bishop chimed in, stepping up beside his wife. "Surely someone can be moved. We pay this airline thousands of dollars a year. Sir, I can't just make a seat. The cabin is full, Susan said. Her patience clearly evaporated. I can put her on the upgrade list in case of a no-show, but it's... Oh. Susan's eyes went wide. She was looking at her screen, at the manifest. She saw the name in 1A. She saw the GS Egazek code next to it. Her entire body language changed. She looked up, her eyes scanning the first-class line, and saw Maya. Boarding for first class will begin momentarily, Susan announced, her voice suddenly strained. She looked back at the bishops. Ma'am, there is nothing I can do. This is unacceptable, Eleanor declared. I will be filing a formal complaint. Just then, the automated call began. We are now pleased to invite our first-class passengers to board. Eleanor gave Susan a look that could curdle milk. This isn't over. She grabbed her husband and daughter. Come on, Chloe, just come with us. We'll sort this out on the plane. Maya watched them, a small pit of dread forming in her stomach. Sorting it out on the plane never meant anything good. She waited until the bishops were halfway down the jet bridge before she presented her own pass. Susan, the gate agent, scanned it, and her eyes shot up to meet Maya's. There was a flash of panic, then recognition from the internal memo that had been circulated. Good evening, Miss Sterling, Susan said, her voice dropping to a respectful low. Have a wonderful flight. Maya just nodded, giving her a small, tired smile. You too. She walked down the long, carpeted tube, the familiar scent of jet fuel and sterilized air filling her nose. She stepped through the aircraft's main door and was greeted by a woman with a perfectly coiffed blonde bun and a smile that was all teeth. Welcome aboard, the flight attendant said. Hi, Maya replied, turning left into the exclusive first-class cabin. She found her seat, 1A, a beautiful, private pod at the very front of the plane. It had its own closet, a massive entertainment screen, and a small chilled bottle of champagne waiting. She stowed her bag, sat down, and for the first time that day allowed herself to relax. She was almost home free. Then the bishops arrived. Arthur took his seat in 1B, across the aisle. Eleanor stopped dead in the aisle, right next to Maya. She was supposed to be in 2A, the seat directly behind Maya. And standing next to her, looking confused, was Chloe, still holding her economy ticket for 34E. Eleanor Bishop looked at Maya. She recognized her instantly from the lounge, the vagrant who had turned out to have a real ticket. A cold, calculating look passed over Eleanor's face. She saw Maya, a young, black girl, alone. Then she looked at the premium seat she occupied, and she made a decision. Excuse me, Eleanor said, her voice no longer a whisper. It was loud, sharp, and designed to draw attention. Maya looked up, her headphones now resting on her neck. Yes? I'm afraid you're in the wrong seat, Eleanor stated. It wasn't a question. Maya blinked. I'm pretty sure I'm not. This is 1A. Yes, Eleanor said, stepping further into the aisle, blocking the other boarding passengers. And my daughter Chloe is supposed to be here. We are flying together. Maya frowned. I'm sorry. My boarding pass says 1A. I think your daughter's seat is somewhere else. This is ridiculous, Chloe whined, stepping forward. Mum, just make her move. This is your seat, right? It should be, Eleanor said, her gaze hardening on Maya. Look, I don't know how you got this seat. Maybe it was a mistake, or you used someone else's points, but my family needs to sit together. You are going to have to move. The sheer, unadulterated entitlement of the demand hung in the air. She wasn't asking. She was telling. No, Maya said simply. Her voice was quiet, but firm. I'm not going to move. This is my seat. I am not giving it up." "What did you just say?" Eleanor's voice rose, cracking with disbelief. The other first-class passengers, the ones trying to get to their own pods, were now watching, annoyed and curious. "I said no," Maya repeated, sitting up straighter. The exhaustion was gone, replaced by a familiar, cold adrenaline. "Your daughter's ticket is for economy. Mine is for 1A. You can ask a flight attendant if there are any other open seats, but you can't have mine." "Why, you insolent little... Is there a problem here?" A new voice entered the fray. It was the flight attendant from the door. She had the same blonde bun and tight smile, but her eyes were like ice chips. Her name tag read, "Brenda, Senior Flight Attendant." "Yes, there is a problem," Eleanor said, turning on Brenda with the full force of her indignation. "I am a Platinum Elite member, and this girl is refusing to move from my daughter's seat." This was a blatant lie, and everyone knew it. Chloe was still holding the 34E ticket, but Brenda didn't look at the ticket. She didn't look at Chloe. Her eyes landed on Maya, and in a single, devastating second, she assessed the situation. She saw a wealthy, important-looking white woman, Eleanor, and a young black girl in a hoodie, Maya. And just like Mark in the lounge, Brenda made her calculation. "Mrs. Bishop, I am so sorry," Brenda said, her voice thick with synthetic empathy. She touched Eleanor's arm reassuringly. "Let me handle this." She then turned to Maya. Her entire demeanor changed. The smile vanished. The empathy evaporated. She was now a disciplinarian addressing a problem child. "Ma'am," Brenda said, her voice sharp, "I need to see your boarding pass. Now." Maya held it up. Brenda barely glanced at it. Brenda said, frowning, as if the pass itself were a forgery. "There seems to be a systems glitch today. We have a very important passenger, Mrs. Bishop, who needs to be seated with her daughter. We're going to have to move you." "Move me where?" Maya asked, her heart pounding. "We have a lovely seat for you back in the main cabin," Brenda said, as if this were a wonderful prize. "It's a window seat. I'll even get you a free drink and a snack box." The insult was staggering. She was being asked to give up a $10,000 intercontinental flatbed seat for a $400 middle seat and a bag of pretzels. "No," Maya said again. "Absolutely not. That is not my seat. This is my seat. Look at my pass. Look at your manifest. I am in 1A. Brenda's patience snapped. "Listen, dear," she hissed, leaning in closer. "I don't know who you think you are, but I am the senior attendant on this flight, and I am instructing you to move. Mrs. Bishop is one of our most loyal customers. You are not. Now, you can either take your bag and walk back to 34E, or I will have you removed from this aircraft for failure to comply with crew instructions. We need to get this flight in the air. What is it going to be?" Eleanor Bishop stood there, arms crossed, a smug, triumphant smile on her face. Chloe was already trying to stuff her carry-on into the 1A closet. The cabin was silent. Every passenger was watching. Maya felt a hot flush of humiliation and rage. They were all looking at her as the problem, the disruptive passenger, the girl who was holding up the flight. She was being bullied, threatened, and racially profiled in front of an entire cabin of people, and not a single person spoke up. "You're making a very big mistake," Maya said, her voice shaking slightly, but her eyes locked on Brenda's. "The only mistake," Brenda replied, "is you refusing to move. I am not asking again. Get up or I call the captain." "Then call him," Maya said. Brenda's eyes widened in disbelief. She had handled problem passengers for 20 years. This was usually the point where they caved. The threat of the captain, of being publicly removed by security, was always enough. Fine, Brenda snapped. You've done it now. She turned and strode to the front galley, snatching the intercom phone. Captain Miller, I need you at the one left door, please. We have a passenger non-compliance issue. A moment later, the curtain from the cockpit rustled open, and Captain Miller emerged. He was an imposing man with a military-style haircut and a face that looked like it had been carved from granite. He was ex-Air Force, and he ran his planes like a barracks. He hated delays, and he hated passenger drama even more. Brenda met him in the galley, and Maya could hear their hushed, angry conversation. In 1A, a kid, refusing to move. Says her pass is valid, but the bishop's delaying departure. She's being disruptive. Captain Miller nodded, his face grim. He'd heard all he needed to. He strode into the cabin. Brenda, Eleanor, and Chloe followed him like a pack of wolves. "Ma'am," Captain Miller said, his voice a low boom that commanded attention. He didn't look at the bishops. He looked straight at Maya. "I am Captain Miller. I am the pilot in command of this aircraft. My lead flight attendant has informed me that you are refusing to follow her instructions." "I'm refusing to give up my assigned seat," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "My ticket is for 1A. This woman," she pointed to Eleanor, "is trying to give my seat to her daughter, who is ticketed in economy." The captain held up a hand. "I am not interested in he said. She said. "I am interested in one thing, the safety and timeliness of this flight. You have been given a lawful instruction by a member of my crew. You are delaying this entire plane. I am giving you one final order. Either you take the seat you were offered in the main cabin, or I will have you deplaned by Port Authority police. Am I clear?" The threat hung in the air, thick and toxic, removed by police for sitting in her own seat. Eleanor Bishop was visibly vibrating with victory. Chloe had a smirk on her face. Brenda looked severe and justified. Maya looked at the three of them. She looked at the other passengers, who were either filming with their phones or staring, desperate for the problem to be solved so they could take off. This was it. They had backed her into a corner. They had all the power, and she was just a 17-year-old girl. But they were wrong. She wasn't just a 17-year-old girl. "I understand," Maya said, her voice suddenly calm. The shaking stopped. The adrenaline focused into a single, sharp point. "Good," the captain grunted, turning. "Brenda, find her bag." "Wait," Maya said. He turned back, his eyes blazing with impatience. "What now?" "You said I'm being removed. I'm entitled to one phone call," Maya said, pulling her iPhone from her pocket. Brenda scoffed. "Ma'am, you need to put that on airplane mode. You are not making a call." "I'm not on airplane mode yet. The door is still open," Maya said, her fingers flying across the screen, tapping a single contact from her favorites list. "And I'm not asking your permission." She hit the call button. The phone rang once, twice. "Come on, Dad, pick up," she whispered. Then a click. "Maya? What's wrong? You're supposed to be in the air." The voice on the other end was deep, warm, and instantly recognizable. "Hi, Dad," Maya said, her voice loud enough for the captain and Brenda to hear. "Sorry to bother you at the office. I have a problem." Captain Miller rolled his eyes. "This is ridiculous. I'm calling security." "I'm on Apex Flight 212 at JFK, Gate C40, Maya continued, ignoring him. "The flight is delayed, because of me, apparently." "What are you talking about?" Her father's voice crackled. "Well, a passenger, a Mrs. Bishop, wanted my seat for her daughter, and the senior flight attendant, a woman named Brenda, and the pilot, Captain Miller, have ordered me to move to an economy seat." "They what?" The warmth in her father's voice vanished, replaced by a sudden, terrifying cold. "They said if I don't move, They're going to have me arrested. They're calling security right now. Dad, they're trying to remove me from seat 1A. There was a deadly silence on the other end. Then, Maya, give the phone to Brenda. Brenda, who had been whispering to the captain, looked over. I'm not taking your phone. He wants to speak to you, Maya said, holding it out. He said his name is Robert Sterling. The name didn't register. Why would it? To Brenda, he was just some angry father. Another civilian to be managed. She snatched the phone from Maya's hand. Sir, this is Senior Attendant Brenda, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. Your daughter is causing a significant delay to an international flight. She has refused a lawful crew order, and I must ask you to... Brenda stopped. Her mouth remained open, but no sound came out. The smug, severe expression on her face dissolved. The colour drained from her cheeks, leaving behind a sick grey pallor. Her hand, the one holding the phone, began to shake violently. Mr. Sterling, she stammered. The name was a choked whisper. Sir, I did not realize. Sir, it was a seating misunderstanding. Yes, sir. Captain Miller, seeing his lead attendant's terror, took a step forward. What is it? Brenda's eyes were wide with a primal fear. She looked at the captain, then at Maya, then back to the captain. Yes, sir, Brenda whispered into the phone. I will put him on. Right now. Yes, sir. She held the phone out to Captain Miller, her hand trembling so badly she nearly dropped it. It's CEO Sterling. He wants you. Captain Miller's blood ran cold. CEO. There was only one CEO. Robert Sterling. His entire military bearing crumbled. He grabbed the phone as if it were a live grenade. Mr. Sterling, sir, this is Captain Miller. I was not fully aware of the situation. My attendant merely... Yes, sir, I understand. We were just... I see. He listened, his face turning a shade of bright, blotchy red. Sir, with all due respect, I am the pilot in command. Yes, sir. Understood. Standing by. He hung up. The silence in the cabin was absolute. You could hear the hum of the auxiliary power unit. Eleanor Bishop looked confused. What is going on? What's the hold-up? Remove her. Captain Miller turned, and the look he gave Eleanor was no longer impatient. It was a look of pure, undiluted hatred. He knew, in that instant, that she had just ended his career. Bing bong. The electronic chime of the gate agent to plane intercom was deafeningly loud. Brenda, still shaking, fumbled for the galley phone. Yes. The voice on the other end was frantic. Brenda, what is happening on your plane? The entire New York operations center just lit up like a Christmas tree. Robert Sterling is on the line with the chief of flight operations. He's saying your crew is... Oh my God. Before Brenda could answer, the jet bridge thumped against the door again. The main door was wrenched open from the outside. Susan, the gate agent, ran onto the plane. She was out of breath and white as a sheet. Stop! Everyone, stop! Captain Miller, stand down! Right behind her, moving with a speed that was terrifying, was a woman in a sharp, dark blue Apex executive suit. This was Sarah Jenkins, the JFK head of in-flight operations. She was the most powerful Apex employee at the entire airport, and she looked furious. What is going on here? Sarah Jenkins's voice was a whip crack. Sarah, Captain Miller began. It's a misunder. Save it, Captain, Sarah snapped. She had her own phone to her ear. Yes, Mr. Sterling. I am on the aircraft now. Yes, I see her. Her eyes found Maya. She walked straight past the captain, past Brenda, and past the bishops. She stopped right in front of seat 1A. Miss Sterling, Sarah Jenkins said, her voice now calm and deferential. "I am Sarah Jenkins. On behalf of Apex Air, I cannot begin to express our apologies for what just happened. Are you all right?" Maya just nodded, speechless. Sarah nodded grimly. She turned around. The entire cabin was her audience. "Brenda," she said, her voice ice. "Jason," she added, pointing to the other first-class attendant who had backed Brenda up. "Hand me your employee badges. You are both suspended, effective immediately. Get your personal items from the galley and get off this plane. Now." Brenda looked like she'd been shot. "Sarah, please, it was a mistake. It was a catastrophe," Sarah replied. "Badges, now." Numbly, Brenda and Jason unclipped their IDs and handed them over. "Captain Miller," Sarah continued, "you are officially grounded, pending a full investigation. Your co-pilot will take the flight, or rather, he would have. We're swapping the entire crew. Go back to the cockpit, retrieve your belongings, and escort these two former employees back to my office. Do not speak to anyone." Miller's face was purple. He was a 30-year veteran pilot, and he had just been relieved of duty in front of his entire plane. He said nothing. He simply turned and disappeared into the cockpit. The only sound was Chloe Bishop, who whispered, "Mummy, what's happening?" Eleanor Bishop finally found her voice. "This is absurd. You can't do this. We are your loyal customers. That girl," she pointed a shaking finger at Maya, "is the one who caused all this trouble." Sarah Jenkins turned to Eleanor, and any trace of professional courtesy was gone. "Mrs. Eleanor Bishop," Sarah said, pulling out a tablet. "As of 2 minutes ago, per order of the CEO, your ticket and the tickets of your husband and daughter have been cancelled, not just for this flight, for all future travel on Apex Air." You can't," Arthur Bishop sputtered, standing up. "I can," Sarah said. "Your platinum status is revoked. Your air miles are forfeited. You have been permanently banned from this airline. Airport security is waiting for you on the jet bridge. Please collect your carry-on items and exit the aircraft immediately." "Security?" Eleanor shrieked. "You're calling security on us?" "You attempted to fraudulently displace a passenger, and you harassed a minor," Sarah said, her voice like steel. "You're lucky we're not having you arrested for it. Get off this plane." The scene disintegrated into pure, chaotic karma. Brenda, the once tyrannical senior attendant, was now openly sobbing. She staggered into the galley, grabbing her purse. Jason, the other attendant, looked like a ghost, mechanically retrieving his jacket. Captain Miller emerged from the cockpit, his face a mask of stone-cold fury, his flight bag in his hand. He didn't look at anyone. The Bishops, however, didn't go quietly. "I will sue you. I will sue this entire airline. I will sue her," Eleanor shrieked, pointing at Maya. "Arthur, call our lawyer. Call him now." Arthur Bishop fumbled for his phone, but his hands were shaking. He was a corporate lawyer. He knew exactly what was happening. He knew that when a CEO gave a direct order to ban a customer for life, there was no lawsuit. There was only total annihilation. He had seen his firm's clients do it. He had never been on the receiving end. "Eleanor, be quiet," he hissed, his face pale and sweaty. "Just be quiet." "I will not be quiet. Chloe, record this. This is an outrage." But Chloe wasn't recording. She was crying, big, gulping sobs of humiliation. "Mum, just stop. You heard her. They're banned. We're banned." Two burly Port Authority police officers, who had been waiting on the jet bridge, stepped onto the aircraft. "Ma'am, sir, we've been asked to escort you from the plane." The sight of the uniforms finally broke the Bishop's resolve. The fight drained out of them, replaced by a sudden, frantic rush to avoid being physically dragged out. Arthur grabbed his briefcase from 1B, Eleanor snatched her bag from 2A. Chloe, still sobbing, picked up her pink carry-on. As they were herded down the aisle, Eleanor stopped one last time, leveling a look of pure poison at Maya, who was still sitting, stunned, in 1A. You did this, Eleanor spat. You little bitch. The closest police officer put a hand on Eleanor's arm. Ma'am, let's go. Now. They were marched off the plane. The thud of the jet bridge door closing behind them was the most satisfying sound Maya had ever heard. The cabin was left in a state of suspended animation. The remaining passengers, all of whom had their phones out, slowly put them down, staring at each other, at the empty galley, and at Maya. The girl in the hoodie had just summarily executed an entire flight crew and had a family of platinum members thrown off the plane. Sarah Jenkins took a deep breath, smoothing her suit. She walked to the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sarah Jenkins, your JFK Operations Director. On behalf of Apex Air, I want to offer my profound apologies for the disturbance and the subsequent delay. Her voice was calm, but underlined with steel. We have had to make an unexpected and immediate crew change. A new flight crew is on its way to the aircraft now. We will also be bringing on a new captain and first officer. Unfortunately, this means our departure will be delayed by approximately 90 minutes as the new crew completes their safety checks. We know this is a massive inconvenience. We will be compensating all passengers on this flight with a $500 travel voucher and 10,000 bonus miles. We will begin complimentary beverage service here at the gate while we wait. Again, my deepest apologies for the unprofessional conduct you were forced to witness. It has been handled. She hung up. The passengers, who had been bracing for a long, angry delay, suddenly looked mollified. $500 and 10,000 miles. They'd just witnessed the best in-flight entertainment of their lives, and were getting paid for it. Sarah returned to Maya, her expression softening. Ms. Sterling, a new crew will be here in about 10 minutes. They will be the best we have. Is there anything I can get you? Your father is on my direct line. He's very concerned. Maya finally found her voice. It was small. A bottle of water? Please? Of course. Sarah practically ran to the galley to get it herself. Maya sank back into the plush cushions of 1A. She put her headphones back on, but she didn't play any music. She just let the silence and the whir of the cabin fans wash over her. She felt a strange combination of vindication and profound sadness. She hadn't wanted any of this. She hadn't wanted to get anyone fired. She just wanted to sit in her seat. The 90-minute delay felt like a lifetime to the shell-shocked passengers of Flight 2B12. The cabin, once a stage for a humiliating power play, was now a silent, surreal bubble. The $500 vouchers and 10,000-mile bonuses had certainly calmed the anger, but the primary emotion was awe. They had just witnessed a complete, real-time corporate execution. A new crew, looking sharp, focused, and visibly humbled, boarded the plane. They were led by a woman named Maria, a 30-year veteran with kind eyes and a presence that radiated calm, competent authority. She had been pulled from the crew lounge, where she was mentoring new hires, and briefed by Sarah Jenkins personally. Her first act was to walk directly to 1A. Maya looked up, her headphones still on but silent, her body tense. She half expected another confrontation. Maria knelt by the side of the pod, not looming over her, but speaking to her at eye level. "Miss Sterling," she said, her voice soft but clear. "My name is Maria. I am your senior attendant for the remainder of this flight. I have been with Apex Air since before, well, for a very long time. I have seen the manifest. I have seen the report. and I have seen a small, terrible clip of the video that is already circulating." Maya flinched. "Video?" "What you experienced," Maria continued, her eyes holding Maya's, "was not apex air. It was a failure of character, a failure of training, and a failure of basic human decency. On behalf of the thousands of us who take pride in this uniform, I am profoundly sorry. It is our privilege to have you on board. My only job for the next 8 hours is to ensure you feel safe, respected, and comfortable. Can I begin by getting you anything? A cup of tea? A new bottle of water?" Maya felt the tension she'd been holding in her shoulders for hours finally, painfully, begin to release. A single tear, hot with exhaustion and relief, slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away, embarrassed. Just a water is fine, thank you," she whispered. "I'll be right back," Maria said. "And Miss Sterling, when we are in the air, you close that door, you put on your pajamas and you sleep. We will not disturb you for any reason until you ring. We've got it from here." As Maria walked away, the new captain, a man who had been the original co-pilot, emerged from the cockpit. He too made his way to 1A. "Ma'am," he said, his face grim. "I was in the cockpit when it happened. I heard it. And I will have to live with the fact that I did not intervene. I trusted my captain. That was a mistake. I am in command now, and I just wanted to give you my personal assurance that this aircraft is safe and you are welcome on it. We'll get you to London." Maya simply nodded, unable to speak. The flight departed. The empty seats, 1B, where Arthur Bishop had been, and 2A, where Eleanor was meant to sit, were like missing teeth, a stark physical reminder of the void where that family's entitlement had been. Maya ate, changed into the first-class pajamas, and closed the sliding door to her pod. For the first time that day, she was in a space that was truly, unequivocally hers. She slept, a deep, dreamless sleep of pure emotional exhaustion as the plane crossed the black, silent Atlantic. When she awoke, the sun was streaming through the window. Maria gently woke her for breakfast just before landing. As they descended into Heathrow, Maya's phone, which she had switched on, began to vibrate so intensely it nearly fell off the table. It was a cascade of notifications, texts, and news alerts. Her personal journey was over. The public reckoning was just beginning. Back in New York, it was 3:15 a.m. Sarah Jenkins, the JFK operations director, was in a windowless conference room in the terminal, which had been converted into a war room. Her office phone, her cell phone, and her laptop were all running in parallel, a chaotic symphony of incoming data. On the main screen was the video, now titled, "Karen and Crew Gets Fired by CEO's Daughter," and it was sitting at 19 million views. Her direct line buzzed. It was the icon she dreaded. Robert Sterling. "Report!" His voice was not loud. It was a low, cold, precise rumble. It was the voice he used when he was shutting down a multi-million-dollar venture. "Sir," Sarah said, rubbing her eyes, "I have the personnel files. It's not good." Brenda, the senior attendant. 22 years of service. 12 formal passenger complaints in the last 5 years. 12, Robert repeated. It was not a question. 8 of those complaints were from passengers of color, Sarah continued, reading from her screen. May 2024. Attendant was aggressive, refused to store my carry-on, then allowed a white passenger in the next seat to store a larger bag. September 2024. Accused me of loitering in the galley while I was waiting for the lavatory. January 2025. Refused to serve me a second drink, but served 3 to the man next to me. The pattern is undeniable. And her manager? Robert asked. Gregson, her direct supervisor. He cleared every single complaint as unfounded or passenger misunderstanding. I pulled his internal chat logs. He and Brenda are involved, sir. He's been protecting her. Fire Gregson, Robert said, his voice flat. Fire him for gross negligence. What about the pilot? Captain Miller, 30-year veteran, ex-Air Force, spotless flight record. But his crew file, it's a disaster. 6 co-pilots have filed formal transfer requests in the last 2 years alone. They cite a hostile cockpit environment, refusal to adhere to standardized checklists, and belligerent attitude. One FO even filed a safety report stating Miller was so busy disciplining a flight attendant over a coffee order that he almost missed a critical altitude clearance from ATC. So he's a bully, Robert said. A liability. He's grounded. His license is flagged. What about the lounge? Mark the agent. I have the high-definition CCTV. It's exactly as Maya described. I watched him scan the lounge, his eyes passing over at least 3 other casually dressed white passengers before he locked on to Maya. He approached her. He stood over her. It was a targeted action from the second he saw her. He's gone. His access is already revoked. There was a long silence on the line. Sarah could hear Robert Sterling breathing. Sarah, he said finally, this isn't a PR problem. This is a cancer. You, me, the entire board. We've been boasting about our numbers, our new planes, our world-class service. We've been lying. We built a beautiful house and let rot fester in the foundation. Sir, I'm not blaming you, Sarah. I'm blaming me. I've been so focused on the stock price, I forgot to check if we were still a decent company. That ends tonight. What do you want to do, sir? The PR team is going to want to hide, to apologize, to offer travel vouchers. We're not doing that. Diane, he called to his PR chief, who was clearly in the room with him. Schedule a press conference, 10 a.m. Yes, I know. I don't care. I'll be there. And Sarah, start pulling the files for the entire New York management chain. Everyone, the rot stops tonight. He hung up. Sarah Jenkins looked at the screen, at the video of Maya, looking so small and so tired in that seat. She picked up her phone and dialed her own HR director. Get in here, she said. We're cleaning house. By 10 a.m. the story was the #1 trending topic in the world. Apex Air on fire, Dangerous CEO daughter, and by Brenda were exploding. The press conference room at Apex HQ was a circus. Robert Sterling walked to the podium. He did not look like a polished CEO. He looked like a man who hadn't slept. He looked like a father. He set his notes aside. Good morning, he began, his voice amplified, filling the room. 9 hours ago, my 17-year-old daughter, Maya, was on her way to a summer internship in London. She was sitting in seat 1A of Flight 212, a seat she was ticketed for. She was then targeted, harassed, threatened, and racially profiled by employees of my own company. The room was dead silent. She was threatened with removal from the plane. She was threatened with arrest, all because she refused to give up her seat to a white passenger who was ticketed in economy. The only reason this escalated to the point of a near arrest was because of the disgusting, prejudiced assumptions of a crew who saw a young black girl and decided she was a problem to be solved. He paused, his jaw tight. I have seen the video, I have heard the audio, and I spent the rest of the night reading personnel files, and I am sick. I am sick because my daughter had to go through that. But I am also sick because I've realized she is not the only one. He looked directly into the main camera. Brenda, the senior flight attendant, and Captain Miller, the pilot in command, have been terminated from Apex Air, effective immediately. Their conduct was a disgrace. But this is not about 2 employees. This is about a culture that I allowed to grow. A culture where employees feel entitled to abuse their power, and where passengers like the Bishop family feel entitled to weaponize that power against a child. To the Bishop family, he said, his voice dropping, who have been customers with us for a decade. Your status, your miles, and your privileges are revoked. You are banned from Apex Air for life. We do not want your business. A gasp went through the press corps. And to every other passenger who has ever been made to feel less than on one of my planes, I am profoundly, deeply sorry. My apology is not enough, so here is my promise. Today, I am announcing the 1A initiative. Effective immediately, the entire 15,000-member in-flight and gate agent staff of Apex Air is being scheduled for mandatory top-to-bottom retraining in de-escalation and implicit bias, conducted by an outside independent review board. We are also establishing a new passenger-led complaints board with real power to discipline to ensure a complaint is never again cleared by a manager who is protecting their friends. He leaned forward. This will cost this company millions in lost flight hours and training. I don't care. We were a company that put a girl in a hoodie in 1A. We became a company that tried to kick her out. As of today, we are going back to being the company that protects her. He left the podium without taking a single question. The karma that followed was not just instant. It was deep, structural, and devastating. For Brenda, the termination was just the beginning. The flight attendants' union, after reviewing the video and her file, dropped her case, citing gross misconduct. She lost her 22-year pension. She lost her travel benefits for life. Fired and blacklisted, no other major airline would hire her. 6 months later, a traveler posted a photo to Reddit. It was Brenda, her hair now a dull brown, wearing the paper hat of a Sparrow employee, working the counter at the JFK Terminal 4 food court. She was 300 yards away from the Apex Stratosphere Lounge, forced to watch the planes she could no longer fly take off every single day. For Captain Miller, the fall was just as brutal. He was a man defined by his authority. Robert Sterling's team had flagged his grounding with the FAA, citing the co-pilot safety reports. The FAA opened a formal review. In a sterile hearing room, Miller, stripped of his uniform, tried to bluster. "I am the pilot in command. My authority is absolute." The review board chair, a retired female captain, looked at him over her glasses. "Your authority, Captain, is not absolute. It is a trust you violated when you prioritized an argument over safety, and when you threatened a passenger without cause. Your license is suspended for 6 months, pending a full psychological and bias evaluation." He was unflyable. His career was over, but the hardest karma was reserved for the Bishops. Arthur Bishop walked into his law firm, Bishop, Sloan and Cromwell, the next morning, fully expecting to handle the bad press. He was summoned not to his office, but to the main boardroom. The other senior partners were there. Mr. Cromwell, the 70-year-old founding partner, was at the head of the table. "Arthur," Cromwell said, sliding a tablet down the polished mahogany. On it was the video. "I've had calls from 3 clients this morning. Not to complain, Arthur. To terminate our services. They saw this. They saw you. Standing by, validating your wife's behavior." "Charles, it was a misunderstanding," Arthur sputtered. "A seating mix-up." "Was it a mix-up when your wife lied to the crew?" Cromwell shot back. "Was it a mix-up when your daughter tried to steal the girl's closet? Was it a mix-up when you watched a captain threaten a minor with arrest? You are a partner at this firm. You are an officer of the court, and you participated in the harassment of a child. It's a morals clause violation, Arthur. A catastrophic one. A morals clause? Charles, we've known each other for 30 years. And in 30 years, I've never had to field a call from Robert Sterling's general counsel, who happens to be a personal friend, asking me what kind of shop I'm running. The partnership is voting on your dismissal. The vote is unanimous. You're out. Pack your desk. Eleanor Bishop's world dissolved not with a bang, but with a silence. Her phone, usually buzzing with calls from her social circle, was dead. The charity gala she was chairing sent her a curt email. In light of recent events, the board feels it's best we go in a different direction. She was removed from the board. When she called her best friend, Cynthia, the call went to voicemail. When Cynthia finally texted back, it was a single line. Eleanor, I can't. The video. I just can't be associated with that. I'm sorry. Banned from her favorite airline, exiled from her law firm's social functions, and shunned by her friends, her entire identity was erased. And Chloe, the aspiring influencer, learned the true meaning of cancelled. Her Instagram, once a curated feed of pink sweatsuits and brunch, was a wildfire of comments. Justice for Maya. Racist in 1A. Your mother is a monster. The brand that made the pink sweatsuit, Luxe Loungewear, posted a statement. We are horrified by the behavior of Chloe Bishop and her family. We have terminated our partnership, effective immediately. Our values are inclusivity and respect. All her other sponsorships vanished in under an hour. Her career was over before it began. The Bishops were forced to sell their Park Avenue apartment. The toxic publicity and Arthur's lost partnership made it impossible to maintain. They retreated, humiliated, to a golf course condo in Boca Raton, the social graveyard for disgraced New Yorkers. Months later, Maya Sterling was flying home for Christmas. She walked into the Apex Stratosphere Lounge at JFK. It was brighter. The furniture was new. The energy felt lighter. She walked to the desk. The new agent, a sharp-looking young black woman, smiled. "Welcome, Ms. Sterling. Window or aisle?" Maya blinked. "Oh, I'm in 1A. The agent laughed. "The 1A, of course. Well, your flight is on time. Can I get you a water or a coffee while you wait?" "A water would be great, thank you," Maya said, smiling. She went to her old armchair and sat down. She pulled out her laptop, put on her headphones, and began to code. A few minutes later, the agent brought her the water. She was wearing a small, silver pin on her lapel. It was a new addition to the uniform. It was a simple 1A. Maya looked at it, then at the agent, who gave her a small, knowing nod. Maya Sterling, in her MIT hoodie, went back to work, invisible in all the right ways, and visible in all the ones that mattered. She was just a passenger, in her seat, and finally, completely, she belonged. And just like that, the entire house of cards, built on a foundation of entitlement and prejudice, came crashing down. Brenda, Captain Miller, and the entire biased crew learned that actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences are delivered by the very person signing their paychecks. Maya Sterling's story is a powerful, shocking reminder that an abuse of power, no matter how small, can lead to a devastating and permanent downfall. They thought she was just a kid they could bully. They found out she was the standard they were sworn to protect. What did you think of the crew's suspension? Was it instant justice, or was it too harsh? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you loved this story of karma served ice cold, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with a friend who needs to see it, and smash that subscribe button for more real-life drama and karmic justice delivered right to your feed.